Yes guys, welcome back to another Fantasy Football Fix YouTube video. My name is FPL Nacho, and in this video I'm going to be revealing my Game Week 13 team. As a Matty Cash and Gerard Bowen owner, I have a few problems in my team, and I'm going to reveal exactly what I plan on doing with those, as well as discussing some Game Week 13 differentials that everybody needs to have on their radar. So as always, if you are new around here, please do consider smashing that subscribe button. And if you're looking forward to the video, please do drop a like. Without further ado, let's get into today's video. So first up, I wanted to cover off some Game Week 13 differentials that all of us need to take note of. And I really like this because I've covered off one in defence, one in midfield and a forward. And yes, we will come on to the forward in a minute because no, I have not lost my mind. Chris Wood is part of this discussion, but I'll come on to him in a minute. So first up, Reece James at 5.3 million, only 4.5% owned in the game. I think we all know by now, historically, that when Reece James is fit and available and being asked to play an offensive right back role or right wing back role, he is one of the best FPL options in the game. I'd put him right up there alongside the likes of old school Trent Alexander-Arnold and this in last season's Kieran Trippier. I think he's that good in this Chelsea team. But the big problem with Reece James is fitness. We really don't know whether he is actually going to be able to field 90 minutes followed by another 90 minutes. And that's his big issue. But 0.08 XG per 90 is okay for a defender, but it's expected assists at 0.78 per 90, which is ridiculous. Now, again, it's quite a small sample size because he has been injured this season, but nonetheless, if he does remain in this Chelsea team, he is an unbelievable option for our teams. Now, the big question mark is, why are we even considering Reece James? Well, Matty Cash right now in the game is a player that a lot of managers are potentially looking to move away from. A tricky away game against Spurs. Then they have Bournemouth away, which is decent, followed by some really tricky fixtures for Aston Villa. So a Matty Cash replacement is actually being looked around. And Reece James, I think, is one to consider. Now, my big issue with him is Game Week 13 isn't the best entry point away against Newcastle. And then the fixture schedule is pretty congested with all of those deadlines. So I love Reece James as a differential. However, I think you could go there in Game Week 13, but I might wait for a few more game weeks, get an understanding whether he is a rotation risk with Malo Gusto, and then maybe jump into him with that amazing fixture away against Everton or at home against Sheffield United in Game Week 16 or 17. But if you want to go there now, I wouldn't put anybody off going there. Eze is the other fantastic differential that we need to talk about right now at 6.1 million and 4.2% owned. Coming back into the Crystal Palace team, so he has also come back from a long-term injury. 0.36 XG per 90, and it's also worth noting he is the penalty taker in this Crystal Palace team, which is a massive plus side. Then an expected assist of 0.26. Really solid underlying numbers. Yes, he isn't getting huge big chances per game at 0.36, but he is such a well-rounded asset for both goal threat and chance creation that I think at 6.1 million is an absolute gem. Now, naturally, I think a lot of managers are looking to sell Gerard Bowen this week because of the potential injury. And I think a lot of managers are going for Mbeumo. However, I think if you want to go a little bit different, Eze is your man at 4.2% owned. The entry point in Game Week 13 is fantastic away against Luton. Then they have West Ham away, followed by Bournemouth at home. Now, after that, they have Liverpool, Man City and Brighton. So this could be an option for you for the next 3 game weeks and then look to move sideways to another option in game weeks 15 or 16. So really do keep Eze on your radar, especially if you can't afford Mbeumo, because I think Eze is a better pick for game week 13 in isolation. Last up, Chris Wood. I know it is ridiculous that he is in the conversation at 4.9 million and 0.6% owned. Let me just repeat that, 0.6% owned. If you buy this guy and he goes off this weekend, you are getting the biggest gains in FPL. So why are we firstly even considering Chris Wood? Well, Aroni, I can never pronounce his name, has been ruled out for the long term due to surgery. Now, are we saying Chris Wood is going to guarantee step in and play every minute as a forward? No, I'm not saying that, but limited options in the forward line. They can play the kind of split forwards that they do like to play, but I do think Chris Wood is going to play decent minutes over the next couple of months, it is worth noting. And at 0.7 XG per 90, which is really solid numbers, and 0.11 XA, and big chances at 1.09, really decent numbers with somebody like Chris Wood. Now, to give you an indication on the fixtures coming up for Nottingham Forest, over the next 6 game weeks, Forest are top for our fixture ticker. Brighton at home, Everton at home, Fulham away, Wolves away, Spurs at home, Bournemouth at home. And the big one there is, remember, game week 18 is a blank for Brentford and Man City. So you want to have some strength and depth in your squad. And Bournemouth at home in game week 18 is a really nice time to play Chris Wood if you were looking to bring him in. So I'm not sitting here telling you that you need to sell Watkins or Haaland for Chris Wood, but if you're sat there, 2 free transfers, no other problems in your team, and you have the money in the bank to maybe upgrade a Cameron Archer or a Mabama to Chris Wood, I actually think it's quite a good move for your team for the long term. So let me know your thoughts on Chris Wood. Somebody I'm considering right now, but I don't know if I can get there, but I think he's a great pick. So let's get into my team, guys, and let you get an idea on what I'm planning on doing. Okay, so to give you guys a little bit of an indication on where I'm sat right now, I'm about 540,000th in the world, so I'm pretty happy with that. It's been a few green arrows. Got 2 free transfers available, which is always a powerful position, and 0.4 million in the bank. So let me go through my team. First up in goal, I have Areola. I'm one of those managers that is stuck by him for the last few game weeks. Realistically, I would prefer someone like a Leno at Fulham, but it's worth noting, West Ham's Areola is still really good on the bonus points. All he needs to do is keep 1 clean sheet and he is going to pick up a massive haul. And do I think he's going to get one anytime soon? Probably not. West Ham are pretty woeful defensively, but Burnley away is a good fixture and it doesn't feel like the right time to be making a goalkeeper transfer on someone like Areola. So I'm going to grin and bear it, continue with him. Don't really think it's a desperate transfer out this week. Now, moving into the defence, it's worth noting this is my team without any transfers. So I'm currently going with a back 3 of Livramento, Guy and Gabriel. Yes, I was one of those managers that sold Shimmercast for Livramento last week, which was a 15-point swing. The less we talk about it, the better. So currently going with that back 3. Now you'll see when I come into my midfield, the defence kind of counteracts the midfield, which is a little bit of a bad position to be in. But Livramento at home against Chelsea, it covers off the Newcastle ownership, which is going to be quite high, it is worth noting. But I know I'm a Chelsea fan, but I kind of fancy Chelsea this weekend. I think they have the tools in their locker to be able to disrupt Newcastle's high press and also the physicality that they offer at St. James's Park. But right now with my team, Livramento starts. Guy is an obvious pick away against Luton, and Gabriel is covering off the Arsenal ownership. So I'm happy with the back 3 for now. I don't see any pressing transfers in those 3 players. Now, moving into the midfield, players that are obviously locked into my team is Mo Salah, Saka, Son, Cole Palmer. A lot of managers are going towards him. I think there is an argument that if I had the money available, I would upgrade him to an Eze, but I think he's a good player and he's an absolute gem at 5.2 million. He's the problem in terms of playing against Livramento, and we'll come on to that in a minute, how I could change that with one of my transfers. But I'm happy with the midfield. The big question mark is obviously Jarrod Bowen. An amazing fixture away against Burnley, but currently yellow flagged. Now, hopefully we will get some press conference news today from David Moyes, and he'll confirm what is going on with him. We know he's got fluid on the knee, but we don't really know the extent of the injury. And West Ham's fixtures are okay in the short term. So Burnley away, Crystal Palace at home, Tottenham away, Fulham, Wolves. Really good fixtures. So ideally, I would like to keep Bowen. But if he is ruled out for game week 13, and the fact I have 2 free transfers available, I will sell him if he is definitely ruled out. And my number 1 option is going to be Brian Mbeumo of Brentford. Now, it's not the best entry point at home against Arsenal. And of course, I am starting Gabriel. So it'll be another player where I have a defender playing one of my attackers. But I like Mbeumo long term. Just to reel off the fixtures for Brentford to give you a bit of an indication. Brentford have Arsenal at home, but then they have Luton, Brighton and Sheffield United after that. And even Aston Villa at home, I think, is an okay fixture. Now, if you're going for a bit more of a short-term punt, Eze for game week 13 in isolation could be a really good move. Something I could do, Bowen to Eze, Eze back to Mbeumo in game week 14. But sometimes I know what FPL's like and it can throw you curveballs each and every game week. I know I want Mbeumo long term and I feel like just doing it a week early is the right move for my team. So if Bowen's ruled out, Bowen to Mbeumo is my move. Now, looking at the forwards, nothing really to talk about here. Haaland's been pictured in training and I think he's going to be fine. And Watkins, bit of discussion about people moving away from him, but with the Spurs defensive worries that they have, the injuries, the suspensions, he is absolutely fine for this game week. So last up, the bench. The big one on my bench right now is Matty Cash, who is 5.2 million and a bit of a cash cow right now. pardon the pun. So if Jarrod Bowen is confirmed fit, my move would then be Matty Cash to Saliba. I would double up on the Arsenal defence. I would bench Livramento and play double Arsenal against Brentford. I know long-term Arsenal are a great investment defensively. They have obviously Wolves at home, Luton away, Villa, then Brighton. So I like Arsenal defensively. I don't mind going double up, but I would only make that move if either Bowen was confirmed to be fit or if both were fit, then I would do the Cash to Saliba move because I know I want to keep Bowen over this long term. So that is the plan. Captaincy currently on Son, but I could feel tempted to go to Haaland. It's just because it's the lunchtime kickoff. I don't really like captaining an early lunchtime kickoff, but Man City, Liverpool could be a goal fest similar to that of Chelsea. So I am going to have a little bit more thought on that one. But currently I'm leaning towards Son. Let me know who your captain is in the comments section. Last up, we need to talk about the Game Week 13 predicted points because this will help you with any transfers or captaincy dilemmas that you have. Okay, so as always, this screen here shows you the top 5 predicted points of each player in each position. Now, I need to say this right now. Because of the flags to the likes of Bowen and Erling Haaland, they haven't made the top 5, but I can guarantee you, if they were to come out and say that they are fit and raring to go, Bowen, I think, would enter the top 5 predicted points, and Haaland most certainly would come into maybe number 1 or number 2 positions. So just keep that in the back of the mind, but we don't want to be giving off false information because we don't actually know the status of those players. So in goal, you can see there Leno, Pope, Johnston, Areola. Areola actually making the top 5, so it gives you a bit more confidence of starting him this weekend. In terms of the defenders, Trippier still leading the way, a very, very popular pick each and every week. 4.8 predicted points. Outside of that, Ream, not really an option for people, but Anderson at 4.2 gives you an indication that the Crystal Palace defenders are a good ownership this week. Moving into the midfielders, Son leading the way at 5.5 predicted points and kind of reaffirming what I mentioned about captaining Son this weekend. So something to think about as we progress into the Game Week 13 deadline. Outside of that, Salah, Foden and Mbeumo at 4.3, even though he plays against Arsenal, is a really interesting one. And Saka also at 4.3 predicted points. And last up, the forwards. Obviously, Haaland is at the equation here. So Solanke leading the way at 4.7. And I really do like him as a long-term forward move if you want to go there. Outside of that, Watkins, Alvarez, who's been sold at the masses recently. So those are the Game Week 13 predicted points. I think it gives us a good indication that Son is a great captaincy if you want to go for that midfield option. So that's going to wrap up today's video. Thank you so much for tuning in as always, guys. If you did enjoy the video, please do drop a like, smash that subscribe button, and let us know in the comments what are your Game Week 13 transfers, and any questions that you have, we'll be sure to answer them. Have a great game week, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Cheers.